Okay, so I filmed a much happier and optimistic opening for this video, but based on the last couple of maybe 10 or so hours, I've decided to change that. You probably already heard Sad Gaspar was found this morning. He's gone, no longer with us. Rest in peace. And then, literally this morning, as I was reading that, I also found out about WWE's statement about Dark Side of the Ring to Martha. And it was, pun absolutely not intended, heartless, okay? The Lord was like, oh, Martha's only doing this because he doesn't like wrestling. It's like, no. And of course Martha fired back, and good for her. Like I say throughout this whole review that you're about to see, one of the themes is them talking a lot about putting them over while saving face, but what I forgot to mention was, even though they're so obviously not the face in the situation, they're the clear heel. Okay, in this whole DVD, it's exactly what Martha and her children, Owen's children, don't want. WWE glorifying Owen for some money. On the other hand, as an Owen Hart fan, this is probably what we're going to have for a while. The best we're going to have for a while, so I'll take it, and I can see why, after doing a bit of research, as I've done before, that generally people feel mixed on a documentary. Some people hate it, some love it. I think it came out the way it did for a reason, Martha in the lawsuit, because this is exactly what she didn't want, But and they all got that look on their face. They're just smiling and telling stories, but the look says this is fucked up. Like they want us, like they know it's fucked up. I still stand by what I say though. If you're a wrestling fan, Owen Hart fan, watch it. I will be getting those new Owen Hart shirts. They're badass, from ProWrestlingTees.com, and I will be donating to the Owen Hart Foundation. And once again, I was one of those people who championed for Owen Hart in the Hall of Fame, and I apologize for that, and I apologize to Martha for this false image I had of her. I had it all wrong. And of course, he's not in this documentary. I mentioned that. And to quote someone who is in the Hall of Fame, that's all I have to say about that. But he's even looking like this a lot though, because I have the menu up, the menu screen, while I'm reviewing it, and I'm enjoying the Owen Hart clips that are playing on the menu. That's why I keep looking this way in the review. So that's the theme they chose to use. I thought they would use this one, but use that because they will copyright. But yeah, they barely even talked about this. I mean, you saw pictures of him wearing this shirt, short Blakeney missing clips of him wearing this shirt. You saw a clip of when this first happened. There was no dialogue, just him grabbing Vince. And I mean, I know that promo anywhere, anyone does. Just like the one it's a parody of. So because tonight they're doing Dark Side of the Ring Owen Hart, I decided to get WWE side of the story first, and finally watch Owen, Heart of Gold. Which is funny because I thought for the longest time that this was called Owen King of Hearts. I could swear this is what it was called when they were promoting it. Because I was wrong, because he was the King of Hearts. It says on the documentary. It made more sense. But Heart of Gold, I get it because he had one. Speaking of gold, they didn't talk about the one title that Owen never had. Because technically he did win the WWE Championship, not that one, the one from his time. And it was at a show that's available only on tape that's hard to find, and he held the title for all but a few seconds before he lost it to Bret, which was a theme. One of the themes of this documentary was the rivalry between him and Bret, and as the oldest of six, I can say, sibling rivalry, it is real. And yeah, they about caught it. Yeah, that was, yeah. We've seen it before, like the Hardy Boys, and then kayfabe siblings like Kane and Undertaker, but Bret and Owen were special. They were so real to what sibling rivalry actually is, you know. The other theme was how Owen wasn't a big dude. So whenever he first started, and for the longest time, he was just barely a jobber. You know, like Vince liked him, his ideas, but he didn't go anywhere because he wasn't like a big dude. But he had all this talent, which is so evident on the mic, in the ring, his natural charisma. Like, you know, they should have kept the belt on him and rode that rocket, so to speak. But yeah, and so I wanted to see what WWE wanted to say about this whole thing before I watched this Dark Side of the Ring tonight, because the big thing is, well, almost all the Harts are in this documentary, Owen Heart of Gold, all but one, and that's Martha. And Martha's going to be in Dark Side of the Ring tonight. And I know this sounds messed up, but part of me is a bit excited because I never got to hear her voice. You know, I read interviews and all that, and you know, the comments of her and Bret, which is still ongoing. I'm still getting videos, and I recommended Bret responding to her saying something just last week. It's like, I'm gonna wait until Dark Side of the Ring, okay? And she's back in ammo because she's gonna be shooting the whole time. I'm sure. Because one thing I noticed, they barely glanced over what they so appropriately called May 23rd, 1999, which was when the incident happened. Basically, somebody said there was an accident, a real bad accident. Shouldn't have happened. That was it. And the promo for Dark Side of the Ring, Jim Cornette is basically throwing a fit. So, yeah. It's like, this documentary puts over Owen in a way they can without, I guess, pissing off Martha and still trying to save face. That's basically, they're putting over Owen but trying to save face. Like, they started, yeah, well, he wasn't going anywhere because he was a big dude, but he had all this talent. Like, no, you just basically admitted this whole thing. But yeah, this is actually a light documentary, but I thought it was going to be heavy. I had a lot of fun with it. It's not that long. And all the Harts got to say their piece again, except Martha. And his influence is still felt. As I suspected, Kevin Owens named himself after Owen Hart, and he also named his son after Owen Hart. So yeah. And Y2J said one of the reasons he came to WWE was to face Owen Hart, which almost happened. That would have been a hell of a match. You know, like Edge was gussed over facing Owen Hart at a pay-per-view in Canada on WWE. I don't blame him. It's just everybody just saying all these great things, telling stories about Owen. And because I knew he was a prankster going in. Like, they told the pizza story, which I already knew about through Bret the Hitman Hart's first Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We talked about that. But it's great hearing other stories and really just paying tribute and showing respect to someone that more than deserves it, and unfortunately doesn't get shown it enough. Like, pretty sure there was a lawsuit about this documentary. I'm pretty sure, and I know they're still dealing with, like, there's still shit going on with WWE and Martha over what happened in 1999. I'm pretty sure it's going to come up tonight. But yeah, like, seeing the stuff here, like, they did a Blue Blazer promo that I remembered, an older one too. And I'm like, I'm not that old. How do I remember that promo? And I was over back there. I was like, wow. Because I remember loving the Blue Blazer before we found out it was Owen. And I'm not as old as that makes me seem. So when he brought it back, I was like, we know it's you, Owen. What are you doing? And this documentary explained that Owen didn't like the product where it was going, the Attitude Era. So this was his way of, they said, adjusting. And based on what I've learned through this documentary, and what I knew about Owen, I'd also call it rebelling a little bit. And it worked. Like that promo they played, the WWF needs a hero, and the Blue Blazers coming. I'm like, I did not appreciate that back then. Because you have no idea, man, how much we truly need a hero right now. With wrestling out of it, like, my goodness. And they even say those iconic words, man. Enough is enough, and it's time for a change. I'm not Jada Sensation, but that's my Owen impression. It's crap, I know. And they didn't, they didn't say those at all. I didn't get to hear his Enough is Enough theme song or nothing, which is funny because I hated all that back then, like everyone else did. I was too young to really know why I hated it, but I knew I didn't like it. Speaking of Jason Sensation, real quick, they showed a little bit of the Nation of Domination when Owen was in that. And what they didn't show was his feud, his and the Nation's feud with D-Generation X, that got so racist that Vince McMahon had to just come to a ring and end it. They didn't show that. Or the fact that he was the most pissed off out of all the people. People weren't in blackface, but he was more pissed off at Jason Sensation than anyone else. About anyone else with the parody. The DX parody. To the point where Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart had to pull him off. Like, he's just a kid. Like, that's how pissed off Owen got. Like, it was probably all in good fun. Based on what I've seen here and what I know. Like, he took nothing serious. That was another thing. This one, there's Hart, pun intended in this, but I can't help feeling that there's something's got to get, because there's a look on everybody's face when they're talking about it. They're doing this really low tone, like they do. Just about the whole thing. I had to turn my TV up, and it's a super close up of everybody's face. They all have the same face, like they want to say something else, but they can't. Even Triple H has that look on his face, which is interesting, I can kind of see why Martha was pissed, because they didn't tell all the story. But this is not what this was about, though. So, it was all about Owen, not the aftermath of Owen. Speaking of all that, I think I spoke about that. They just barely, glanced over it, which I both appreciate, but I'm also like, do it. Like, because I was listening to Xbox podcast not too long ago, to an episode he did talking about the whole, that night, and how he basically knew before anyone else, because he knew people that where it happened, and he that was kind of emotional. But this way they just sprinkled it, okay. I expect Dark Side of the Ring to not do that, based on what I've seen before in that series. Great series. And I've also realized that May 23rd is this weekend, 21 years. And also that this documentary is now 5 years old. So, anniversaries all over the place. And I still have WF Attitude here on 64. I used to have it on 64 and PS1, but I played the PS1 version so much it broke. But this is the very last WWF anything he was in for the longest time. I think until the Greatest Stars of the 90 DVD, which itself lawsuit because of Martha. And certainly until we got this. This was it. If you wanted to see Owen in WWE, this was the last thing. Which is funny though, because I thought he's in Legends of Wrestling, which is not a WWE game, so that would explain why he's in there. This came out in I want to say 2004, really? 2004, okay. Yeah. This is before WWE brought it up and made it Legends of WrestleMania, so he was certainly not in that one. And he wasn't, I don't think, in Legends of Wrestling 2. But he's in this one, which is a big surprise. But yeah, if you want to see Owen W.E., he's in this. Get that tribute in loving memory of Owen Hart, 1965, 1999. He's doing the woo thing he did. Because I didn't know he wooed, you know. I didn't know. That's really all I have to say about this one, because the documentary didn't say. That's all the points it went through. But they chronicled his career from when he started in Calgary to all the way to WCW, which I would always, I still sometimes be like, what if Owen went to WCW? And imagine my surprise, he did go to WCW, so, for like a brief second. And he was gonna, like, yeah. And this thing also went over, the fact that he was gonna quit over the whole, he wasn't getting anywhere thing, even though they liked him. Like, he was gonna quit, but instead he, like, didn't. That's when he went to WCW, and like, Brett talked him into, like, bringing him back. And the whole him and Brett rivalry, that was basically Brett putting his brother over, and I love that. I freaking love that, man. I love that. He brought him in, he said it was great. And they kept it going off screen. Like, they'd be having dinner, and one of them look at each other, just sitting across the table, just not saying nothing. Who's that for? There's no one there. It was awesome. And Owen, he did that off screen too. Like, they kept showing clips of him just talking to fans, talking about he is the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Talking about how the Hart family, like, basically sits on him and believe. Like, he kept it going off screen. Like, that's really good writing. That's why this one worked, man. Good writing, good performers, real shit, you know. And this thing started out with Jim the Anvil Hart, and I'm like, damn. And then they saw Vader, I'm like, damn. You know, like, how long has it been? This has been out 5 years, apparently. There's archive footage of the Bulldog. It's awesome. I was going to tell you, all the Harts are in there, except Martha, like I said. Like I said, definitely recommend this one. It's a fun time with Owen Hart, basically. Yeah, and I learned why he was Blue Blazer again in the 90s, towards the end of his career. Even though he was doing so well with this, you know, I learned that. I learned, you know, about him and Brett. Oh, excuse me. You know, I mean, that's basically it. I basically knew most of everything else, but still, this was a good refresher for tonight. Highly recommend it. Yeah, that's all.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change!